Good morning and welcome to your daily AI News Digest for Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. This digest is brought to you by bestai.org. We've got a lot to cover today, so let's get right into the stories that are truly shaping our world. Today feels different. Something fundamental just shifted in the world of AI. We're talking about the ground floor, from the actual silicon all the way up to the boardrooms. We're going to break down exactly what's happening because the entire map is being redrawn as we speak. All right, first up, let's talk about what we're now calling AI factories. And this is big. NVIDIA just dropped a bombshell, a new platform that completely changes how we think about data centers. We're not talking about a warehouse full of separate computers anymore. We're talking about one single, massive, unified AI engine. And the scale here, it's just mind-boggling. This new platform, called Vera Rubin, essentially acts like a single colossal brain, and it's powered by over 1.2 quadrillion transistors. Let that sink in. This is so much more than just a simple upgrade. No, this is a fundamentally new way of building the machines that think. So if you look at the specs, you'll see the core architecture is making a massive leap. We're moving beyond just, linking a bunch of powerful chips together. Now, NVIDIA is designing the entire warehouse-scale system to function as one cohesive unit. It's kind of like going from a city full of separate skyscrapers to one single, massive, interconnected arcology. And the reason for this? Well, this design isn't just for training models anymore. It's been built from the ground up for this new era of always-on autonomous AI agents that have to think and react in real time. So what does this all mean? Well, the game has changed. The bottleneck isn't the speed of one chip anymore. It's the efficiency of the entire AI factory. And what that does is create this huge compute moat. It makes it basically impossible for anyone who isn't a giant like Microsoft or Google to even afford to play at this level. And of course, all this incredible power has a cost. It's putting an unbelievable strain on global energy grids. So, all of a sudden, the key metric everyone's watching isn't just raw speed, it's tokens per watt. Of course, building these AI factories costs an absolute fortune. And that leads us perfectly into our next story, the trillion-dollar turf war that's being fought not just with technology, but with capital and some really creative financial engineering. And right at the center of all this is OpenAI. They've reportedly hit a staggering $25 billion in annualized revenue. I mean, they're looking at a potential trillion-dollar IPO. But at the same time, new financial filings are revealing just how deeply dependent they are on Microsoft for the raw capital and computing power they need to even stay in the game. So to keep this rocket ship fueled, OpenAI is getting very aggressive. Get this, they're offering private equity firms joint ventures with a guaranteed 17.5% return. That is an incredibly bold move, and the strategy is clear. They're trying to lock in huge enterprise clients as fast as possible, way before their more cautious rival, Anthropic, can even get a real foothold. And this really tells you everything you need to know about the new reality. The turf war for the enterprise is no longer just about who has the best model. It's shifted to who can do the best financial engineering. It's all about structuring deals that make you indispensable to big corporations. We've officially entered the platform era, where a handful of giants control the fundamental infrastructure, and that makes it incredibly tough for smaller players to compete. Now, with all this capital and power consolidating around just a few key companies, you better believe Washington is taking notice. And today, the White House rolled out a new framework that signals a huge shift in how the U.S. is planning to govern artificial intelligence. So the administration's goal here is pretty clear. They want a single, uniform federal standard for AI. They're trying to avoid this confusing, messy patchwork of different state laws that they fear could really stifle innovation. And the framework is built on a few key pillars, everything from promoting what they call energy dominance to protecting intellectual property and, of course, a big focus on child safety. But, and this is the really crucial detail, while this federal framework is designed to override most state-level AI laws, it makes one very specific major exception. The White House is advising Congress not to preempt state laws that are specifically designed to protect children online. And what this shows is a really delicate balancing act. On one hand, they want to foster national AI champions. On the other, they're responding to intense political pressure to protect minors from algorithmic harm. Okay, so while governments and these massive corporations are making their big top-down plans, there's a completely different story unfolding. A really disruptive bottom-up movement is just exploding onto the scene. And we are talking about the rise of personal autonomous AI agents. You might have seen this term lobster trending online lately. It's the new slang for these autonomous agents that are being built on an open source framework called OpenClaw. And look, these are not just chatbots. These things can read your files, they can execute commands, they can operate directly on your computer. There's even this phrase, raising a lobster, that's gone viral, especially in China. It literally means training one of these agents on your own machine to act as your own personal digital worker. And the adoption rate for this has been absolutely explosive. The OpenClaw project on GitHub has racked up over 250,000 stars in just 60 days. To give you some perspective on that growth rate is faster than foundational technologies like Linux or React when they first came out. This is a true grassroots phenomenon. So what we're seeing is this massive shift, right? From AI as just an assistant to AI as a digital worker that you can actually program yourself. And there's a huge but here. Is it safe? Because these agents can install their own tools. They can write and execute code. They open up a gigantic security hole on your personal computer. And yep, researchers are already finding malicious agent skills out there in the wild, designed to do things like steal your passwords or drain your crypto wallets. All right, so for our final segment, let's tie all of these threads together. When you step back and look at the global landscape, it is crystal clear that we have entered a brand new age, the age of AI agency. So let's do a quick rundown of what that looks like around the world. Okay, a quick global outlook. In Europe, you've got this major push for sovereign AI, which is really all about data control. In the medical field, a key finding is that AI, for all its power, still can't replace the human trust bridge between a doctor and patient. At the same time, deep research is going into self-improving agents, things like the Darwin-Gödel machine. The EU's AI Act is setting global standards for transparency, and big enterprise players like Oracle are trying to solve the security problem by putting agents inside the database itself. So, when you put it all together, what's the big takeaway today? Look, the intelligence is there. The hardware is scaling beyond belief. The money is pouring in. The central challenge of 2026 and beyond is no longer about building more powerful models. The real challenge, the hard problem, is building trustworthy agency. How do we ensure that the systems acting on our behalf are doing so safely, reliably, and in our best interests? That's the question we're left with. And that's your daily AI News Digest. Thank you for joining us.